And do you go by Piff or John, or what? How should I call you?
Piff.
Just Piff. Unbelievable.
All right.
Yeah. Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School. It's Piff the Magic Dragon standing in for Godot and Donnelly, who are lazy and not here. AKA they're working. Now, live from the Show Creator Studios in Las Vegas, we're joined by David Kwong, producer, co-producer even, of Deception on ABC. For a minute, I thought he did it by himself. He's also a magician and puzzle maker. He makes them for the New York Times and ran out of music.
It's okay.
Here's your host, Preaching Love, it's Penn.
Nicely done. It was still okay. It was still better than Godot does, yeah.
All right.
You don't have to do it again. It's fine.
Perfect.
David Kwong is here with us, who I've met backstage. He's come backstage to our show, and he is on the list. You're on the list of people that my wife loves more than me. Now, I don't mean she loves you more than I love you. I mean she loves you more than she loves me. She has nothing but good to say about you all the time.
That's so nice to hear. It's the puzzling bond, I think.
Yeah, she likes puzzles. You like puzzles, Piff?
I love puzzles. I'm not very good at them.
Yeah. Do you do the New York Times?
No.
You never?
No, I do the what did they call, the quick crossword, and that takes me like half a day.
Oh, the mini.
Yeah,
the mini puzzle.
Yeah, I do the one where the answers are like pretty straightforward, and you don't have to try to like take letters from different words.
Well, let's first say, for the first time, just to get this out of the way, ABC Deception. When does it start?
It starts a week from today.
Okay, but that doesn't matter because we're going to show this, probably play this next week.
March 11th.
March 11th.
March 11th.
10 p.m. 10 p.m.
On ABC. That's a big deal. Is this your first TV show?
This is my first credit as a producer. And yes, I've worked on TV as a consultant, but yeah, this is my first producing credit.
You also did Now You See Me, right? You were a consultant on that.
Yes, magic consultant on that, and I do the puzzles and secret codes on NBC's Blind Spot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I started watching that. I loved the naked woman in Times Square with stuff tattooed on her. I watched 2 shows and lost complete interest.
Well, that's what directly led to Deception being born. The executive producer and creator of that show, Martin Garrow, and the Uber producer who oversees all of this, the prolific Greg Berlanti, the 3 of us came together to come up with Deception.
And where are we in? Are Penn and Teller in the pilot, or where are we?
Yes, you're in the pilot.
We're just doing how much did you cut down what we did? Are we in the full amount?
You're doing 45 minutes. You're doing a tight 45. Just agree, David. It's going to be a lot easier for the rest of this session.
I don't know what the original footage was, but you talk about magicians shouldn't lie to people, and Teller does a trick, and
oh, well, that's all. We didn't do much. Yeah. But I'll tell you, that was a part that I asked my son, who's 11, to help me learn the lines. So he went through and corrected every comma, every single thing. So I went in. This is Deception. When you tune in to see it on ABC March 11th at 10 p.m., you will see the most prepared Penn Jillette has ever been for any lines he's ever delivered on any project in his life.
That's great.
No project have I been more prepared for. And I would tell you, it made a difference.
How does your son do this then? What has he got, a stick that he just hits you with or something?
Well, he just did it with I think with shame.
It's just every time you get a line wrong, you look at your son and realize you've let him down.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my God, this is so brutal.
But when
he's like, really, Father, really?
When other people run lines, if you go. For instance, if you go...
you can be off a little bit.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you do.
Yeah.
And he would say, no. It's yes, period. That's the kind of thing you do. Yes.
Right.
That's the kind of thing you do. Not, yeah, that's the kind of thing you do.
He took the Pinter approach.
Everything. Yes,
everything.
Exactly. Every single thing.
It was like, that is a period, not a comma.
Yeah, or like Amy Baker, who says in her scripts, Amy Baker, the best playwright in the world. Amy Baker in her script says like pause means 8 seconds.
Wow.
You know, she has stuff like that in her script, and if you've ever seen her stuff, it's just amazing. It's just beautiful, and it's important what the
You honor the text.
You honor the text, exactly.
Right.
So on Deception, the other people, who's playing the magician on this?
It's an actor named Jack Cutmore Scott. He's a British actor playing American, and
Rat bastards.
What? Unbelievable. Coming over here, stealing our work.
I know. Every once in a while, you hear a little bit of a Britishism in there, like
butter.
You know, somebody's in hospital. I think has made one of the episodes, but for the most part, he's got a great American accent.
Well, are you writing into the scripts?
No, I'm writer's room adjacent. I'm there at the office and sitting in on all the sessions and helping them figure out how to bake magic into all the plots.
Can you do me a personal favor that you'll
Sure.
also get a great deal of joy from yourself? Put into the script at some point that he has to say, get a federal court order.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, get federal court order in there. Federal court order. Because you will find that when he's on the set, he will be unable to say it in an American accent. He will
go down in flames.
He'll be frustrated and hilarity will ensue. I got that from Stephen Fry, whose partner, who's I guess ex-partner, they're still good friends though, but from Fry and Laurie was Hugh Laurie, who did House and did his wonderful American accent. And they put federal court order into one of the scripts. And he had to do 70 takes, and they finally had to read
it. And it just twists the tongue up?
It's very, very hard. Piff can demonstrate.
No, I can't.
Okay.
I can't, because what happened is I did it once.
You did it once really nicely.
I did it really nicely, and so I'm not allowed to ever do it again.
Yeah, it would just be...
I go out of the top when I do things, David. Once I've achieved it, I never look back.
Now, what is your theory on this? I mean, the... Do you expose every method that you're? What's the character's name in this? I forgot. I said it. I know.
Cameron Black.
Yeah, Cameron Black. Does the audience watching get to see how Cameron Black does the magic?
We're very careful about it, and I'm working with Francis Minotti, whom I believe.
Oh yeah, I love Francis.
And Francis, because we shoot it in New York, and he's there every day on set, really doing the real work. And we're very careful. We, for the most part, only expose things that we've come up with ourselves that we invent for the particular scene.
But if you can't, but if you don't show the audience at home how it's done, why is that interesting as magic?
We show the audience, we try to educate them about the principles of magic, the big overarching, sweeping themes in magic. And then we expose tricks that are from 100 years ago, but the cardinal rule there is it can't be something that anyone's doing today. I mean, we really, at the end of the day, don't want to ruin anyone's magic show.
Except you can't do that, except it's impossible. It's simply
impossible. Yeah,
it's simply hubris to say you can do damage to someone else's act. You just can't. I mean, we saw the masked magician, I believe, was actually trying to do damage and couldn't do it. I believe that's just a complete lie. I believe it's like what they say, guarding an empty chest.
Right.
Because what's interesting about a magician being able to do that is actually seeing how the magician would do that, I suppose, But, so Cameron Black, and it takes place in New York City?
It takes place in New York City, yep. The FBI bureau is based there. We start in Vegas, and we end up in New York.
Mm-hmm. And the FBI, like the FBI in the TV world, the FBI always needs help from some special charismatic profession. We need in the FBI? Right. We need a really good fry cook. Let's find a fry cook and let's bring him in, and we'll be using him all. Oh, it turns out we need to ask a fry cook a lot of stuff because in this issue we'll be doing clams, Ipswich fried clams, and we're going to need the exact right guy, and it's this really good-looking, rugged Englishman with an American accent who's the perfect fry cook. We're going to bring him in, and then every episode it's like, oh, why is he bringing him this time? Because we're now doing potatoes.
Oh no, this involves cud. Who do we turn to?
Who do we turn to? And is he employed full-time by the FBI or still doing his shows?
No, this was what Greg Berlanti wanted to do from the very beginning, was to have a fallen character who loses his magic show and has to redeem himself. So he's on the outs.
Oh, he's on the outs. How did he lose his magic show?
Say again, sorry?
How did he lose his magic show?
He loses his magic show because of a framed for murder.
Oh, framed for murder.
Yeah.
And it was by a one-armed man.
Sort of.
He's going to have to find out to redeem himself. He's going to have to find who the person is, because we know Reddy and I have talked about this a lot. Is that so rarely, even if they try to have redemption be the theme of the plot, it always has to turn into revenge. They can't just have somebody trying to make themselves better. It always has to be someone else they're chasing and bringing down.
Who are they bringing down?
Who are they bringing down? Well, the guy that framed him for murder, right?
Yeah, there's a Moriarty in the whole show.
Yeah. Who's been out to get him? And is the pilot an origin story? Is the pilot meet our character on the way?
There's going to be some flashbacks. There's going to be some episodes that go into the mythology of how we got to where we are. So no, it's not an origin story. He's already a big famous Las Vegas magician.
Oh, he's a Las Vegas magician. I didn't know that.
And then he goes to New York to work with the FBI.
Oh.
Because they already had the name Quantico on another show, so they had to move him to New York.
I think it was the Family Guy was parroting all the procedurals where someone with a specific set of skills helps them out, and they were calling it the noticer. Someone who can just walk in a room and notice things. So this is our version of the noticer.
Yeah. Well, they've done a lot of. I mean, you've certainly done all your homework. There was Bill Bixby, the magician,
yep.
right? And what was the one with the English fellow who did who was the mentalist?
The mentalist. It was called the mentalist.
It's called The Mentalist, with the guy that I only knew from the George Romero films, but obviously was famous for lots of other stuff.
They just did that Shut-Eye one as well, and he was a mentalist who became a fortune teller.
He was a psychic fortune teller.
He was a psychic, right, yeah.
And then he went, I don't know where, I watched a few episodes of that too and lost interest because there was no longer a naked woman in Times Square. Once you take the naked woman in Times Square out of your show, you lose me.
I just find any show, it's difficult for any of these shows to compete against Adventure Time, which is 6 minutes long. Adventure Time
is impossible to beat.
Do you think you could do Deception in 6 minutes?
The whole show?
Yeah.
No.
Come on, David. This is what we need you to get towards.
Adventure Time can do it in 6 minutes.
They can do it in 6 minutes. That's amazing what they can do in 6 minutes.
And Children's Hospital can do it in 11 minutes.
Yeah.
They're not quite Adventure Time.
They're not quite Adventure Time.
You know, we should do the world's fastest procedural.
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
Really, really, really fast procedural. Really, really quick. And is Cameron's job now at the FBI?
Does he get paid by the FBI?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the season is convincing the authorities at the FBI that this is actually a good idea to have him around. So
because he plays by his own rules.
That's right.
Because he has his own deep fryer.
You know, he's got his personal agenda, so he muscles his way in. Oh. And, of course, every time he helps out, the case is solved. But a lot of it is convincing the FBI it's a good idea to...
So how's he living day by day?
Say again, sorry?
How's he living day by day? Has he got an apartment there?
Oh yeah, he's done
still,
quite well for himself.
He's still wicked rich. He just was framed for murder.
But doesn't all your money get taken away from you if you get done for murder?
He's your Bruce Wayne. He's got his means.
Oh, so he's got it all in offshore funds.
See,
Right.
what Piff's trying to tell you is if the FBI wanted Piff the Magic Dragon to help, they're going to write a check.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not going to be like, I'll just help out.
Yeah, and I would come and help out. I've got a dog. He can probably sniff for blood or something. I'm a good catch for the FBI.
I would love to see that show. I really would.
That show, I want to see it in real life. A nice little apartment in New York. All the slush fund you can use. A deep fat fryer.
So how do you work? How do you work with the writers on this?
It's sometimes the magic drives an episode. Other times I have to retrofit it to the story that they've come up with. And they first and foremost are creating emotional arcs, and they're working with the characters. So sometimes you have to come up with clever things to fit that. So there's kind of a back and forth.
So it's...
Yes or no, David? Do most episodes begin with the murderer sawing a lady in half?
We're not going to do that, but you see that there's so many shows where someone's died on stage from.
No, it's the worst. It's the worst.
I have been in, I believe, 3 of them.
Yeah. What were they?
There was Numb Threeers. Remember Numb Threeers?
I don't know it now.
It was people called it numbers, but it was,
Numb Threeers. Okay, yeah.
But they always had a 3 in the thing, and in Numb Threeers, there was a mathematician who was needed by the FBI because the fry cook was busy, and there was a magician who had killed somebody on stage, and they brought in I was playing myself in that, like I am in Deception. I'm also and there's all these universes. Do you know that I'm actually a character in the Marvel universe?
No.
Penn is a character in the Marvel universe. I wrote one of the Deadpool comics.
You're canon. You're in the canon.
I am in the canon, and I did something that negotiation-wise, I think is one of the smartest things I have ever done, which is saying so little. I told them when they sent the contract that said they could use my face and my image for the Deadpool Spider-Man comic that I'd written, because even though I wrote it, I still had to get the release from myself to be able to do it.
Right.
I would not sign the release until they took out all the wording that said it was that particular issue and changed it to wording that it was general. So Marvel now has on file a contract that says any story they want to tell anywhere. If Black Panther all of a sudden wants to have Penn show up, even played by a different person, they can do that.
Perfect.
They have that right. If I want to show up with the Incredible Hulk, I'm there. They don't even have to make a phone call. I don't have to know about it until it comes on. Oh, I went to see Black Panther. Well, how was it? It was pretty good when I came in. It could be like that, just like that. So I am in the Deception world. I am Penn. In the Deadpool world, I am Penn. In the Numb Threeers world, I am Penn. If the mathematician, Deadpool, and Cameron Black want to all get together, they could meet through me.
You could be the one.
I could introduce them.
Everyone could open up. Penn.
Boom, boom, boom. I'm in all those worlds.
Who's behind all this? Penn.
And I was also in Lois and Clark.
As?
There was a murderer. I was playing, I think I was like Harry Whitestone or something.
AKA?
Penn.
Yeah.
And there was someone that had been killed in the Lois and Clark, and Superman had to come in.
So you're in both the DC universe and the Marvel
I'm in the DC universe and the Marvel universe. And when I did I forgot, who was the guy who played Superman in Lois and Clark?
Dean Cain.
Dean Cain. I loved Dean Cain. Dean Cain was good. But I told...
He does Masters of Illusion.
He does. I like Dean Cain a lot. But Dean Cain had to carry me. He had to fly with me as Superman.
Oh, no.
Okay? And I told the
How long ago was this?
Oh, many years ago.
Big in the Fat Penn
stages. This is fat. Yeah, he's Superman. Are you saying that I was so fat that Superman couldn't pick me up?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Struggled with. I don't want to be derogatory to Superman here. Just saying he had to bend his knees.
Superman had to lift with his knees, not his back. Yeah, lift with your knees, not your back, we said to Superman. But I asked the cameraman as a special favor if they could run cameras as soon as we got on the set before they said for cameras to roll. And then as he held me in his arms, which he had to hold me in his arms, like that Superman, I grabbed the back of his head and kissed him really hard on the lips. Just directly full lip contact kiss with him in the Superman outfit. So we have at the Penn and Teller offices, I got the still, we have a picture of me making out with Dean Cain in the Superman outfit.
Oh.
I'm very, very proud of. Dean Cain, not upset by it, also not comfortable with it. He did not throw a fit. He did not drop me.
No, what happened was he did not want to let the uniform down. That's what happened.
Because, we may not respect the man playing Superman, right, but we respect Superman.
We respect the uniform.
Certainly more than we know. We now respect the President of the United States of America.
He was
POTUS has gone down, but Superman is not.
He was carrying humanity on his shoulders.
So Lois and Clark, numb threers. I've been part of a evil magician. Is Moriarty in this an evil magician, or is he we don't know who he is yet?
It could be a show.
I think we know that he's a magician.
He's also a magician.
He is a magician.
Yeah. He's not me, is he?
Oh,
he's not you.
No.
That would be a bitter twist. What kind of contract did you sign?
I went to.
Please make me the evil magician in this show.
I made this deal with numb threers, and then they went off the air before they could do it. I also pitched it. I pitched it so heavily to Law and Order when Law and Order wanted me on. I pitched to another show. I said, and numb threers was going to do this, since I had become friends with the lead character under my own name. Okay, that's the important part of this. I want it, and I still have this offer out there. Any producers that want to do this, I want to do a show where I play Penn Jillette, and that Penn Jillette is the murderer and is caught. I want to actually be in an orange jumpsuit that says Gillette on it and actually be the one that goes in. And I talked to them about doing an arc where I was friendly with a guy, helping him solve a case because I was a magician, and it was going to be a brutal, horrible killing in Vegas. And as I helped him with the case, it was going to dawn on him that I was actually the murderer, which is not a surprising plot twist. That happens all the time in every issue. But I could not think of a case. Now, there are cases where people playing themselves have died. Okay? All 4 monkeys in the movie Head die under their own names. In Penn and Teller Get Killed, Penn and Teller die under their own names. That's been done. But I could not think of a case where a person playing himself or herself in a fictional role ended up being the bad guy and caught and punished. Can you think of a case of that?
I can't think of it. I can't.
Puzzle Boy? Huh?
No. I can't think of one, but I'll get back to you on it.
Yeah, but you've already got who your bad guy is. But if you want me, as Penn Jillette, to be a small character who actually kills someone, I will do that. And I will tell you, it is seriously against the advice of managers and agents. When I pitched that to numbers, they said, no, you really don't want to do that. You really don't want to be a bad guy under your own name on one of these shows. People take these things seriously. It really will. I said, I don't care. I don't care at all. I want to do it. I would say brutal sex murder. I want to be the guy who did it.
All right, if we get renewed for season 2, I'm putting that on the board.
Yeah, put in.
David, yes or no? Is the evil genius behind the framing of the murder Piff the Magic Dragon?
I can't say that yet.
Oh,
we'll find out.
There's hope.
Wow. Piff and Penn enter in, both of them do that. It would just be so great. I mean, how much would you love it if you saw one of these procedural shows that have someone on playing themselves, which they do pretty often, and that guy as himself, the guy who just shows up for one afternoon, a quick cameo, ends up being the murderer. I just want that orange jumpsuit with the name Gillette at the end with my career just, washed up. He's killed someone. Boom, gone.
Boom, gone.
Boom, gone.
He now works for the FBI.
As a fry cook.
As a fry cook.
Belly's in or belly's out on the clams, Penn? We don't know. So, how much fun has it been to work in television?
How long have you been doing it? How long has it taken, this thing?
We've been at it. for a couple of years. It came together pretty fast, this version of it. I mean, I've been trying to do some version of this show for a long time. Obviously, all the stories from history, Mulholland and Maskelyne, and there's a great tradition of magicians helping out, the State Department.
There's also a great tradition of magicians murdering people.
So, but Greg Berlanti made it happen, and Chris Fedak, our show creator, really he breathed life into this universe, and so we've been at it a couple of years. It's been fun. TV is so hard. It moves so fast, and time is the biggest constraint.
Now you want to remember, David, that there's a chance on this podcast with a few 100,000 people that somebody listening to you actually has a job.
Okay.
And when we say a job, we don't mean they get paid for something.
When you say TV is difficult, there's actually someone listening who can fix a car, or can program a machine code, or maybe who's worked in an emergency room. And all of these people know that none of us in show business have jobs that are hard.
That's a fair point.
Okay, just want to make that very clear to you, that there's a chance when showbiz people are talking among themselves, you can talk about how hard you're working. When there's a chance someone that actually has a job that goes into someone's home to try to fix something, they have hard jobs. A personal assistant who goes in when he or she has a cold is working much harder than than Steve Harvey. Doing a radio show and a TV show. Nobody in show business works hard. That being said, yes. But when do you spend a lot of time in the writers' room? How many writers do you have?
We have about 8 writers.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. And they all worked on other shows like this?
Yeah, we had people come over from superhero shows like The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow. Then we had people come over from procedural shows like Bull and I'm escaping me the other ones. But it's been interesting having the writers' room in LA, and we're shooting in New York, so we don't get to walk next door and help execute what we come up with.
Probably just as well. As well. Okay, Alfred Hitchcock said, if you want to be a director, don't see good movies and say, I want to do that. See bad movies and say, at least I won't do that. Okay. I believe that's a really important thing. I believe that, and I don't mean this in terms of personal hate, but I mean in terms of artistic hate. I believe that the most important thing when Penn and Teller started out was we did not want to do this. We did not want to be Saturday Night Live. We did not want to be Doug Henning. We did not want to be David Copperfield. We had carved out things that we did not like, that we want to do something different from. We did not want to insult the intelligence of the audience.
Sure.
We did not want to lie to them. Did not want to do this and that. And Salvador Dali had this wonderful quote that I don't remember, but the idea of it, or the way I understood the idea of it, was that all artists should hate other artists with a passion, but not be surprised when the audience doesn't share that. So you do your show, and you think it's incredibly different from another show that's being done, but the audience just watches them both on the same DVR and is happy with both of them. So, of all these shows we've mentioned that use we don't even say magician, but the clever guy, whether it's a mathematician or so on, to help on the procedure. Yeah. The noticer, that's really, really good example. What were the things you said watching TV for the time you watch TV? These are the things that will not happen on Deception. They will happen over my dead body. What do you hate that we won't see in Deception? Nope, just happy to have a job.
I just wanted it to be fun, first and foremost. We wanted people to be able to put their feet up and enjoy this show. So
but there's no particular thing you said, boy, we're not going to do that. Boy, we're not going to have some idiot in a dragon suit.
No, we're not going to have some sort of magic performing chihuahua.
A lot of opinions when it comes to magic. There's a certain way that I didn't want magic to be portrayed, for sure. But
well, what are those ways? Talk about that.
Well, the general blanket statement is that I want magic to be cool, and I don't want it to be. I think we've moved away from the saw the lady in half era, but I think that the general public conception of magic is still that there's a cheesy element to what magicians do, and I very, very much wanted to move away from that and keep us going in the direction we've been going in.
Now, how'd you get involved originally with Now You See Me?
I was working in
why
Hollywood.
wasn't the sequel called Now You Don't? But go ahead.
And what's the third one going to be called?
Die Hardest. But go ahead.
Now You Three Me. Oh, nothing. Now You Three Me. Now You Three Me. Nothing.
Now You Three Me's pretty good.
Oh my! Wow. Unbelievable.
I always wanted to do it with cats and have it be called Meow You See Me. That's
pretty good. Yeah.
Now You See Me. So how'd you get involved in that?
Like many magicians, started when I was a kid, but I didn't really think there was a profession in it. So
you're right.
I actually started working and now I'm self-conscious saying this, in a normal job. But so I started working in Hollywood. I started working at HBO and then and DreamWorks, and I was working in development, which is that catch-all term for producing, finding scripts and material and turning them into film and television. So when I was at DreamWorks, Now You See Me came across my desk, and I was basically sneaking out of the office to work on it, work with the writer, help turn that into something that could get the green light and become a movie. So when that got the green light, I quit DreamWorks and consulted on that film, and that was sort of when I basically became a full-time magician. I no longer had the desk job after that.
Now you've done lectures and stuff. Do you do a lot of performing as well?
I do a lot. I do both. Yeah. The light bulb that turned on for me, and this was rather late in my career, given that I started when I was a kid, was that I could cross-pollinate puzzles and magic together. So I do have a magic puzzle show that I do in Los Angeles, and I do a lot of corporate shows. And then I like to speak about illusion as well and the principles of it. And I'm in that TED Talk world, and so I do a lot of speaking for magic too.
Mm-hmm. And how'd you get into doing puzzles for the New York Times?
I always solved crosswords and played competitive Scrabble as a kid, and then I learned how to construct them when I was about 20, my senior year in college. Probably submitted 3 dozen puzzles that were rejected by Will Shortz, and finally got one in, and I figured out the formula. I have a good relationship with him now. It's a freelance gig. Anyone can mail in a puzzle.
Oh, really? Is that true? Is that true? You really can?
Yeah. Yep. There was a great documentary, I'm not sure what year it was, maybe 2007, called Wordplay, which was about the New York Times crossword and Will Shortz, and the community exploded. So now everybody is, there are a lot more constructors now.
Now, was there a person, let's get into this, why not? I don't know any of this.
This is why I'm here. Okay. I want to learn about the old crosswords here.
Okay, good. Let's hear about this. Did one person create the crossword puzzle?
Arthur Wynn created it, just about 100 years ago, I believe.
And it's like zombies, right? I mean, George Romero created the modern-day zombie, and then everything took off from there. There was no way he got credit for that, right? He wasn't the only guy then. Everybody just jumped in right away doing it, right?
I don't know if he got credit at the time, but we know that he was the first to publish one in it was the New World or something like that.
And how much had to be explained in the very first crossword puzzle?
I don't think much at all. I think it's self-explanatory. There's a cross and down, and it was in a diamond shape. It didn't exactly look like how it looks today. I don't think there were any black squares in it. It was a lot simpler to just plug the letters right into the squares.
And was it a cryptic one or a regular one?
It was a regular one. The cryptic one is a British invention and is a much superior version of the crossword. And they're much more difficult, but they're so fun.
What makes it superior?
Location.
What makes it superior? The wordplay is diabolical. It's.
This is when you have one letter circled that comes out to something else?
No, give us an example, David, of a cryptic clue, and we'll try and solve it, and then you help us out solve it.
Well, I don't write them, so now I don't think I could do it on the spot.
Google
but
one.
No, I can't do it.
All right, I'm going to Google one. I'm going to Google a cryptic.
Yeah. Let me. Yeah.
He's on it. He's on it.
All right, don't worry.
Okay. Yeah.
Now are you one of the ones that can do like Sunday New York Times in ink one direction in like 2 minutes or something?
I'm pretty fast. I'm more of a constructor than a solver. The speed solvers are in their own category. There's the American Crossword Puzzle Tournament every year, and the same guys won. Dan Fayers won this tournament, I think, 7 out of the last 8 years. He's the best in the country, and he can do the Saturday puzzle, which is the hardest day, in about 7 minutes.
Well, I said Sunday, but Sunday's not true. It's Saturday that's hard.
Sunday is a bigger grid. It's a Thursday level of difficulty.
Here we go.
Saturday, yeah.
Damp fog hides nothing. 5 letters. Once again, your puzzle. Damp fog hides nothing.
5 letters. Damp fog.
So what's the first word?
Damp fog.
Damp.
Yeah.
Fog.
Hides nothing.
And that's
What's that third word?
Hides. Hides. Hides.
Hide nothing.
Hides, plural. That could be
Damp
important.
Fog. Hides.
Now, is damp fog, is that called mist?
Mist.
Is that another, am I on the right track, David?
I don't know. So the way these work
Hides
is that
nothing.
One side of it is going to be the answer. Is going to be a synonym for the answer.
Oh.
So the answer is either a synonym for damp or damp fog, or it's a synonym for nothing. And then the other half of it is a punny clue for that word.
Right.
Damp fog.
Damp fog.
Hides nothing. 5 letters.
5 letters. Hides nothing. Zero nothing.
Well, we've covered the next hour of the show.
Okay, here we go. Damp fog. Hides.
Do you have the answer?
No, I do. If I scroll down, I have the answer.
You have the answer right there.
Yeah.
I would just.
I also have the explanation for it.
I would say the answer.
Say the answer, and we'll see if we can understand.
But then
why.
we could do another one by ourselves, right?
Okay, let's hear the
All
answer.
right. Here we go. It sounds like a weather forecast, but don't be fooled. The word hides is a possible signpost that this is a container clue where one word is put inside another to create the answer. What's a short word for fog? Mist. Oh, I was on the right path, guys. What symbol means nothing? 0. Oh, when mist hides 0, you get moist, meaning damp. Guys, I almost had it.
You were so close, except you didn't.
Ah,
Yeah,
moist.
that's great. Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks.
Moist.
I don't think I would have gotten it.
Guys.
Hides nothing.
Boat in waters going west.
Boat.
Boat in waters. Boat
Going.
in waters. David, you are.
So going west means the answer is going to be backwards.
Right.
Oh,
Right,
very
we know
good.
that, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that, but that's very good.
Yeah.
Boat in
So
waters.
the word waters. So waters is going backwards. Is there the word boat inside the word waters? I don't
No,
think so.
No. Boat in waters going west.
It's probably going to be a synonym for boats.
Okay. Ship.
Ship.
No. Yacht. No. Can't do that backwards.
Boats. Fleet.
Fleet. What's that backwards? Steve.
I don't know. I
David.
don't know. I'm not that good at cryptics.
Oh no!
I feel like we're carrying dead weight here. You are supposed to be helping us out, David. We're doing all the heavy lifting.
He got missed.
I got missed.
He had missed like that.
I even had 0. Oh, wait.
An anagram for boat in the word waters?
Is there an anagram for boat in the word waters?
Well, it would to anagram boats. It would have to be something like boats. Scrambled boats or jumbled boat. There would have to be a clue to tell you why you have to mix up boats.
But it's backwards.
Boat in waters going west. So so we're looking for a word for boat in waters, which backwards is another word. Is that right, David?
Well, one side of it is a synonym for the answer. So I think that it's going to be a synonym for boats.
Can we just start by asking, what does synonym mean? Because I feel like I'm already... That's like another word for, right?
Yeah.
All right.
So boats, fleet,
cruise ship, no. Sail, barge in waters, no. Tanker, no. We're looking for five letters.
I think you're going to have to take a synonym for waters and
sea.
Write that backwards.
Okay, sea, boat. Oh, ocean. Boat in waters, ocean.
It could really just be a synonym for waters backwards. Is your answer?
A synonym for water backwards.
Possibly.
You know, this is really showing me so clearly why I hate puzzles so much.
Oh.
What's the answer?
I've got to say, guys, we're a long way from this.
Go ahead, lay it on us.
Oh, dear. I was actually feeling quite hopeful about my level of smarts from the last clue, and this has dashed them. Here we go. Oh, the phrase going west indicates that this is a reversal clue.
Good.
David was right on that. Correct. Yeah,
okay.
Correct, David. A synonym, once again, another point for David, of waters is pools.
Pools.
Which you can reverse to get sloop. A type of boat.
Sloop.
Hey, you wanna get out in the old sloop, head across the ocean?
I know the word sloop.
Oh, what a fine day for slooping.
Sloop John B. You know, very important song in pop music. I
Of
could have
course.
had sloop.
But by the way, with these things, you usually have a grid where you're getting other letters, and it's helping.
I don't believe that would have helped us at this stage.
So, is there now software for making
Oh yeah, for sure. You still have to come up with the wordplay. That's what makes a good puzzle. The long theme answers.
Now, we first found out about you because you put Penn and Teller into one of the New York Times crossword puzzles, right?
No, I don't know. That wasn't me.
Wasn't you? Because we've been in it 3 or 4 times, maybe more. We've been.
Yeah, I could look right now if you like in the database. No, I met you guys.
But I thought we got in touch many years ago with the person who put us in the.
I came backstage once.
I know that. I remember you coming backstage.
I was nervous, probably the most nervous I've ever been in my whole life. Wanted to show you guys my Scrabble trick.
You did the Scrabble trick, which is a good trick.
What's the Scrabble trick?
It's a good trick. Tell them the Scrabble trick.
Scrabble trick involves borrowing a dollar bill from somebody, having them sign it. Usually what I do is I vanish it and have it appear in an impossible place, like inside a fruit. I like to do that earlier in the show so people forget about it. But the Scrabble trick itself involves taking the bag of tiles, having people grab handfuls of tiles and giving them to me, and within that small number of tiles, I link them all as quickly as I can in under a couple of minutes. And one of the products of this exercise is that there are 3 8-letter words, and those 3 8-letter words I put up on a board. I put the Scrabble values for those letters, and they turn into numbers, and I add them vertically to get a new 8-digit number, and miraculously, it matches the serial number on the dollar bill.
Boom.
Boom.
Well, that sounds complicated.
Done.
How do you... Well, that sounds difficult to do.
Seems like...
Is that episode 4 of Deception?
Yeah. Someone dies in a Scrabble tournament.
Here's one. This is just for Penn Gillette. David, you're not allowed to play with this one.
Okay, come on.
17 across. Media muzzler.
Media muzzler.
Yeah.
17 across. Yeah. Media. How many letters?
8 letters. 8 letters. Media muzzler.
See, I'm not good at this.
Now, this is one of David's own.
Is it? This one of yours?
Do you remember this? It is. I've Googled it. All right, it must be true.
I can't remember all the clues I've written. Really?
Well, yeah.
This is not cryptic. This
is not cryptic.
Media muzzler. 8 letters. Censor?
No.
I was so proud of that.
I think it's.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought.
I think it's 3,5.
What's 3,5 mean?
It means it's 2 words.
I would say gag order.
Boom!
Probably.
Gag order.
David, back in the game.
Oh my God.
There's a little magic themed one over here. 8 across, with 63 across. What some performers saw in Las Vegas, or a hint to this puzzle's theme?
Siegfried and Roy.
Nope. With 63 across. What's 63 across? See 8 across. Oh, in half.
Sawing.
Oh God, this is a ladies.
Yeah, well, yeah, Piff, you gotta say it again. It's what's the clue? It's what some people saw.
It's a very complicated clue here. With 63 across, what some performers saw in Las Vegas, or a hint to this puzzle's theme.
Oh, so it would be lady, right?
Ladies, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, ladies in half. So that puzzle has ladies in half. There's Gaga on opposites. Ga on one side, Ga on the other. There's Chatterley.
Oh yeah.
Split across the grid.
Oh,
yeah.
there you go.
Gaga, Godiva, Jane Grey. Oh, ladies, this is sneaky.
Yeah.
Look at that. How long did these puzzles take to make up, David?
If it's a Monday theme and everything's firing, then I could do it in a few hours. But I've spent a couple of years on a puzzle that's really tricky, and probably the one I'm most proud of is a Mad Magazine fold-in puzzle.
You did one of those? Side. You did a Mad Magazine fold-in?
David, why don't you
lead with that?
Why don't you begin the interview with that?
Who gives a fuck about deception in the New York Times?
Ready?
You wrote for Mad Magazine?
I'd like to redo my intro, please. Ready? Thank you.
Start again.
Thank you very much.
I didn't write for Mad.
Stop talking, David. Stop talking.
Now we're going to do the right introduction.
Good evening, we're here with Piff the Magic Dragon. We don't need to say anything else other than we're here with David Kwong, who has written Mad Magazine. He basically made it up. He essentially made up Mad Magazine.
What did you do with Mad Magazine?
I did nothing with Mad Magazine.
Oh, don't tell us that you just said you did a
That was Penn Sunday School.
Yeah.
It was a New York Times.
No, that was Penn Sunday School.
That was. Oh, you were here with 2 of the most disappointed Las Vegas celebrities as they thought they had somebody who created Mad Magazine, and it just turned out
that was David Kwong, whose show's coming up, Deception, on March 11th on ABC, 10 p.m. He did not work with Mad Magazine.
Nothing.
Cha-cha-cha.
Cha-cha-cha.
You become naked. We'll come back Wednesday and find out what he did do when he wasn't working for Mad Magazine. That was Penn Sunday School. And you know we love you.
Oh.
Okay, let's do another one right away. Find out.
Music feed into him so he doesn't hear that.
Oh, you didn't hear the music. The music was coming in every time, by the way.
We had music there for you, David.
I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, no. But believe me, it was perfect. Let's start another one. What we did was, as soon as you said no Mad Magazine, we did the end of the show. We started the show again. We did the end of the show. We ended. We're doing 2 shows anyway, so we go right into the second one this way. Works out perfectly. Okay, start again.
This is Penn Sunday.
Oh, you know I didn't work for Mad Magazine.
Well, no, we're going to find that out.
Okay.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School. Today with an even longer introduction, so that I don't end up running out of music. It's Piff the Magic Dragon standing in for people who aren't here. Now, live from the Show Creator Studios in Las Vegas with David Kwong, the creator of Deception from ABC. It's your host, preaching love, it's Penn Jillette. I nailed it. I crushed it. That was incredible.
It was perfect. It was the best introduction ever done.
My God.
This is Penn Jillette preaching love. Sunday, we had on David Kwong, who has his show Deception, March 11th, ABC. He started to say he did a Mad Magazine fold-in kind of puzzle. We misunderstood something. We thought he'd worked for Mad Magazine. We got very excited. We did the re-intro. He then told us he didn't work for Mad Magazine, so we threw him off the show. It took us about 2 minutes to recover from our disappointment. Now we're going to find out, continuing the interview with David Kwong, what did you do with the fold-in puzzle?
It was for the New York Times Sunday magazine. It was a crossword puzzle, an homage to the Mad Magazine fold-in.
Okay. Oh, I see.
So the crossword puzzle folds in half, and the right side goes over to the left, and the words still run across. So
wow,
it
and
was
you could actually
incredibly
fold
difficult to make.
Yes, impossible.
Yeah,
impossible.
And Al Jaffe signed it for me. He's still making the fold-in. It's incredible.
When did you do this puzzle?
I think that was 2010, maybe.
Is that one on your website?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'll ask you this. William Gaines, publisher of Mad Magazine, and Richard Nixon, what do they have in common? It's a hard one. They both invited me to lunch and then died.
I was so close. I was just about to say that.
Just about to say that. They both, he came to our show, William Gaines, and I was thrilled to pieces that he'd come to our show. And he invited me to go hang out and have lunch, and then got really sick and died. And Nixon got in touch with me, wanted to go out to lunch, and then he got really sick and died. So here's what I'm telling you. Don't invite me out to lunch.
Deal.
So give us an example of how that could you actually physically folded the puzzle in the New York Times in?
Yeah, it was. There were two dotted lines running down vertically in the puzzle, and as you solved the puzzle with answers like let's see, overhand. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. Overhand and Pokemon, rather Pokemon and overhand. When you folded the puzzle in half, you got poker hand, and it revealed a number of different things that you could fold. So there was newspaper and bed sheets. I'm trying to think of another clever one. I should just look it up. I have the internet at my fingertips.
How do we search for it?
What's that?
Did you credit Mad Magazine? Did it say Mad?
Oh yeah. Mad Magazine is the central answer to the whole thing.
Oh, it's fabulous.
How do we Google it, David?
I'm sure it's. Let's see. It's called the title of this puzzle was Abridged Edition. Abridged Edition.
And then when you folded it in, what did that spell?
It revealed 8 things that can also be folded.
Okay.
So here, I have it in front of me now. It's been a while. Poke at and overhand folds into poker hand. Lamb and run dry, the LA from lamb and the UNDRY from run dry became laundry as you fold things over.
Wow.
Origin and ami, French for friend, became origami.
Wow. That took you a while.
That took a couple of years to make. I constructed it with my friend Kevin Choset. It was a co-construction.
I'm going to
the puzzle I think
Penn.
I'm most proud of was, so there are two trophies for crossword constructors: April Fool's Day and Halloween. Those are the 2 days where you really get to mess with people. I made a Halloween puzzle that was themed on the Universal monster movies. Mm-hmm. So in the middle of the puzzle the clue was things worth looking into, with a question mark, so you know it's a pun. Things worth looking into. And the answer was mirrors. So you establish there's a mirror in the middle of the puzzle. Uh-huh. In the upper left-hand corner, you have...
Wait a minute, things worth looking into, that isn't a pun. How is that a pun with mirrors?
Things worth looking into? Yeah. Instead of looking into, not investigating, but rather actually physically looking into something.
Okay, and that comes under your definition of pun?
Oh, okay, wordplay.
Okay.
Maybe not pun, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm with you now.
Yeah. So you had Wolfman, one of the monster movies, in the upper left-hand corner, uh-huh. and then you had to put Wolfman through the mirror, and you get, in the upper right-hand corner, Namflo, which is Wolfman backwards, reflected, basically. And then you had you had monster from Frankenstein, and then you had monster spelled backwards on the right-hand side. And then you had Phantom, from Phantom of the Opera, with Phantom spelled backwards on the right. And then in the bottom left-hand corner, you had Dracula. And in the right-hand side, you had nothing because there was no...
Which is the only reason you did that whole puzzle, which is for that one joke. That's the only reason, yeah.
So the squares are left empty, and everything is one letter shorter than you think it is.
That's nice.
So one of the clues that crossed that was half of graduation attire, and you think it's 4 letters long, so you might write in gown, but the answer is just cap. So there's just this void at the bottom of the puzzle.
Well, that's really nice. That's really clever. And April Fool's Day, they also do fancy stuff?
April Fool's Day, yeah. I had one of those as well, again, with a guy that I write a lot of puzzles with, Kevin Chosit, and we did a how you must think to solve this puzzle. And the central answer was outside the box.
Oh, I see.
So then the key to that puzzle was that the word think, the letters T-H-I-N-K, were actually outside of the grid of the puzzle, spilling into the margins of the newspaper. So you couldn't quite fit those all into the puzzle. So that's the kind of stuff you can do on April Fool's Day.
Wow. That's
Sneaky David.
It's really, really hard stuff.
Are you familiar with what most people, including the editor Will Shortz, say is the greatest New York Times crossword ever published?
No, tell us.
This was for the 1996 election between Clinton and Dole.
Mm-hmm.
And the Times published on election day, headline in tomorrow's paper. And it said, Clinton elected. And people called the Times furious. How can you call the election? You can't do that. But the secret was that both Clinton, which is 7 letters, and Bob Dole, which is 7 letters, worked in the same set of squares. So you can imagine for the C in Clinton and the B in Bob Dole, it was clued as black Halloween animal. So it was either cat or bat.
Oh.
And all 7 of those worked.
Oh, man.
So good.
Oh, that's so good.
Probably the best one was provider of support, question mark, or for example. And it was either an IRA, Roth IRA, for the I in Clinton, or BRA, BRA, for the B in Bob, for provide support. You should just take a look at it. You can find it online if you search Clinton Dole crossword puzzle.
That's really great. How long did that guy work on that one?
I don't know. It was Jeremiah Farrell. He was the first one to do what we now call a Schrodinger puzzle, which has 2 possible answers in a single set of squares.
That was the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've done a lot of them since then?
There's probably been a dozen or so. Yeah.
I've always thought there should be one done where the clues were just what you wrote in letter for letter. You just copy them in. So you just one would tell you the clue, you just write it in and you're done. So I just told you what to write in. Now you're also, you said you played competitive Scrabble as a child?
More my teenage years. I would go to Scrabble club meetings, and I've never played in an official tournament. I would get trounced. Those guys are unbelievable.
Have you memorized the lists of like 2-letter words and stuff? They've done.
I have a lot memorized, but a long way to go. I think the champions memorized the whole dictionary. What's interesting is that the Nigerians are the best Scrabble players right now.
Well, that's interesting because I just got one of the princes from Nigeria just told me that I can get a lot of money. I'm helping him out a little bit. So I'll be probably going over there to deliver the check.
Well, there's a lot of money in Scrabble. Why
are Nigerians the best?
There's a strategy that I admittedly don't know how many tournament players there are, but this group of Nigerian Scrabble players, they play defensively. They keep everything tight, whereas most people, they do the 7-letter word, which is called the bingo, and you get a 50-point bonus when you use all 7 of your tiles at once. But when you bingo, you open up the board and someone else can bingo. And then it just becomes this war of long words. But the Nigerians keep it tight and they play defensively.
Now, is AI playing Scrabble now? Must be, right?
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant AI, the three-toed sloth from South America. That's one of the two-letter word.
Is there a three-toed sloth from South America?
How can you doubt this, man?
I do believe that's the definition, but you don't have to know in Scrabble what they mean. You just have to know they are playable. But I do think that's what I don't even know how to pronounce it. An AI, three-toed sloth from South America.
We did a thing that we were asked to do some gags, Penn and Teller, for a computer thing, and we put up, which was only up there for a little while because the company went out of business, not related to us, I hope. But we had a Scrabble dictionary where you could type in any word, and it would tell you that it was a word and give you a definition and a pronunciation. So it was a way to cheat at Scrabble, which I'm sure others have done. There must be other online things that do that. But I know that with chess and then with Go, that there's been, what do you got to say, Ready?
IE.
Oh.
IE, that's how you say it?
And IEs, plural.
IEs? IEs? I know that artificial intelligence has now absolutely crushed chess and Go. After they won at chess, people kind of started to lose interest. But it actually got interesting only after they won. The program that won at chess has been doing EI and deep learning from the deep thought stuff at Google, where they do the stuff that starts from scratch. Instead of trying to teach any programming, you do it all with just experimentation and learning. And they've now gotten to the point where chess masters cannot decide who's ahead when computers are playing, because computers will do strategies that no human has ever thought of, sacrificing queens and stuff like that. And they did an experiment where they worked forever to get a computer to win at Go. And then after that computer beat a person at Go, they did another program that started from scratch, just playing against itself. So they didn't give it any of the games to look at. No human intervention at all. Started to play against itself. And then that computer beat the one that beat humans 100 games to 0.
100 games to 0.
And they no longer know what the strategy is that the game's using, which is pretty great. So what I was wondering is, in Scrabble, talking about playing defensively, which I never even understood was a thing in Scrabble, but I don't know anything about Scrabble. I wonder if there's any AI. Well, of course, AI programs would have the list of all the letters, all the words at its fingertips. It's symbolic.
I think someone hasn't written that program yet to encompass strategy. The machines, I've seen machines that can pick up the tiles and put them down, and they're basically, it's playing the best word possible from the given letters.
Right, but that doesn't matter. No, we don't care about that. We know a computer can do that. We're interested in is when it's only playing 2-letter words, because that will kill you. Yeah,
I haven't seen that yet. I haven't heard about it.
But have you been to Scrabble competitions happening? Have you been in those rooms with that?
I've never been to the National Scrabble tournament, no. I've been to the National Crossword Tournament many times.
Oh, yeah. Well, tell us about that. What's the vibe there? Where do they hold that?
They hold that in kind of ping pong between Stamford, Connecticut, or Brooklyn, whichever Marriott wants to give them a huge ballroom is basically how that works. It's coming up. It's the end of March, and Will Shortz runs it.
Oh, really? And how many people show up for it?
Oh, it's probably a few hundred people.
And they have a special puzzles created for that competition?
Yes. In fact, I've received emails from him before. I've had a puzzle accepted in the newspaper, and he'll say, hey, would you like to, instead of having this printed in the Times, have it be one of the tournament puzzles? So He takes real submissions from people.
And then do they print them afterwards? Of course they do. Once they've been in the competition.
I don't know. I think it might be one and done. I think once it's out there, they don't print it. Yeah. But then and then for the final round, the 3 finalists, there are 3 big boards, and they're up on stage with noise cancellation around their ears, and they solve it as quickly as they can in front of everybody.
And you can see them writing and stuff.
Yeah.
Do they get a dictionary?
No, they can't look anything up.
Oh.
No.
This is hard.
But there's been some photo finishes. They're down to seconds. It's a few years ago. It was down to half a second. It was incredible. That footage is online. If you want a real thrill, you can watch that one.
Oh, this is what people would when they talk about. I've got a real job. This is what they're talking about: solving crossword puzzles.
Yeah. Well, what is the job of the guy who's won the last 7 out of 8?
Dan Feyer, Feyer. I'm not sure what he does. I know he lives in San Francisco. I will tell you that the people that often win these tournaments are math and music people. It's not actually a verbal skill. It's a quantitative skill. It's an ability to pull from this database of clues and answers that you've amassed.
And also you have to understand the culture. I mean, it's...
Oh, yeah. There's this familiarity with the structure of the clues, yeah.
Yeah. There's all sorts, like you said, when there's a question mark, it means this, and an example means this, and stuff like that. Because I think I can say, maybe I'm the only one of the 3 of us that can say this, I don't believe I have ever done a crossword puzzle successfully.
You've never completed one. Quick or cryptic?
Yeah. I think that I have, I used to sit, my dad would do the crossword puzzle in the Greenfield Recorder, the paper I'm from in Massachusetts. I don't know, they obviously got it nationally, I imagine. And he would do the crossword, which is a very simple local town crossword puzzle. And he would ask me questions, and I would always answer him, and I would always lie. And he would always write it in and always get mad at me. He never realized that I always made it up and ruined his crossword puzzle. I mean, it went on from the time I was 15 to the time I was 18. I'd be sitting there, he'd be doing his crossword puzzle. He'd say, what's a 6-letter word for an antelope? And I'd say, lope box. He'd write it in there, and then say, I'm having such trouble here, and it just...
Turns out your gift is saying bullshit that sounds true.
Yes,
it is, as we talked about on other shows.
So I'm looking here at the database. Penn, you were in as an answer last in 2016 as half of a Vegas show duo. In 2015, talkative half of a magic duo. So you've been in there a bunch. Let's see about Teller.
This is in the New York Times, is it, David?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the New York Times database.
See if Piff shows. No, let's see how many times Teller shows up.
Yeah. Teller's not in a clue by himself because there's, obviously many other ways to clue that.
Yeah. But Penn is useful. Penn, 2 N's at the end. It's useful. You either have a college or abbreviation from Pennsylvania or me.
What about Piff?
And Penn and Teller was in a diagramless puzzle in 1997. Popular comedy magic team.
Wow. 97. 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Also, one of the clues is can't figure out 2018 minus 97. That's one of the clues for me. Can't do the math on that. So, what kind of magic do you like the most, David?
What do I like the most?
I mean, you a close-up guy or stage guy?
What kind of magic do you dislike the least? Let's try another one.
Yeah, we kind of already covered that. I like people that are putting a fresh coat of paint on the tricks that have been around for a long time, but they're presenting it in a new, modern way. And there's both Dan White and Derek Delgado have great shows right now in New York. And I think they're doing.
I haven't seen Dan White. I've seen Derek's.
Yeah.
What's Dan White's like?
Dan is doing his show at the Nomad Hotel in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I've heard about this.
And
I haven't seen it.
And it's a really hip, modern parlor show. You know, it's cool. It's he's presenting classic effects in a new way, and he and his team, this Theory 11 team, there's some very, very clever stuff in that show.
And how many people is he working for? How big a room is it?
There's probably 60 seats in there or so.
Oh yeah, so it's a real part of the show. And are you bringing any magicians other than us on the Deception at March 11th, 10 p.m. ABC?
We hope to. Our hope is that the magic community embraces the show and that they like the way that we're handling the art form and the secrets, and we'd love to have people come on and make cameos. So I question very much that David knows anything about magic, because he just said that the magic community would embrace. There's never been one thing, including the polio vaccine, the magic community has ever embraced en masse. You do understand that the magicians, you have met magicians, right? Bitter, hateful, horrible people, right? Yeah. That's true. It's true. And to your point, I've never really been in the magic community. I've been doing magic my whole life, but I've only been to a magic convention once. You know, that for better or for worse, I'm not really in that world.
Yeah, well, anyone who would say the magic community will embrace this when this is anything that does not know. We were talking about this on an earlier show, Piff and I, how jugglers are open and kind to one another and very, very sweet people. Yeah. And magicians just do not pull that kind of person in. Turns out when you want to lie for a living, you turn out to be a less pleasant person than when you want to throw things in the air to catch them.
Right.
It turns out that way.
I think at the heart of it, it's that it's a profession where each performer is basically declaring, "I'm the only one in the world that can do this." So
that's a good point. Yeah.
So that, you know, when there's someone else doing anything, it's competitive. It cuts them down.
When you do your corporate speeches, what are the high points? What you hit there?
I do this puzzle act, basically. So, you know, I mentioned before at the crossword puzzle tournament, they have that you watch the finalists solving in front of a big crossword board on an easel.
But you don't do the magic squares and the Knight's Journey.
I don't do them, but they would actually fit into my show. I mean, that is the spirit of it. But I've come up with a couple of my own tricks in that vein. So I build a crossword puzzle in real time on an easel in front of everybody. People throw words and letters up to me, and I put in the black squares, and it's in that tradition of mental gymnastics. Build the crossword puzzle right then and there, and I hide some secret things in the puzzle on the diagonal and back.
And are there many cheats in that, or is it a magic trick, or is it actually is some of it actually mental gymnastics?
It's both. Well, the magic trick is simply pick a card, any card, and that's my reveal, is that it's hidden in the puzzle.
I see, yeah.
But as far as the actual construction of the crossword, I've done it so many times. I know my corners. I know my areas.
And you probably also know your audiences, right? You know, I mean, when you do improv, what you have to really struggle with is that you know your audience too well. Anybody that does improv for even a year knows you get the same 35 suggestions over and over again. You probably know, well, what do you ask the audience and what do they answer?
Right. If I say I need a 6-letter word that starts with F-A, I almost always get father first, and then I always get falcon for some reason. So I know just what to do with those 2 words.
And you now have a table of those, right? I mean, you now know that when David Kwong asks a certain question to this this kind of group that comes to his shows, you know the kind of answer you get. I'm always amazed. And we used to keep track of, in Penn and Teller shows, what happens when I ask a particular question to a person. Because you get there's the tables of cards who are most likely called out, but the aggregate is actually your enemy, because it depends on who you are on stage and who your exact audience is. Lorne Michaels used to point out on Saturday Night Live that, Penn and Teller and Kinnison were alternating weeks on Saturday Night Live. And you could tell whose voice it was in, what kind of complaints you would get. And the example he always used was that on Laugh-In, if Judy Carn did a joke, she would get all these letters complaining that it was too slutty. And if Goldie Hawn did the joke, same joke, no complaints at all. So actually censorship is or complaints are very, very specific to the exact tone of voice and character. And magicians haven't talked enough about how when David Copperfield says to his audience, name a card, it'll be a very different answer than if Penn Jillette says to his audience in a Penn and Teller show, name a card. And
I had never thought about that.
I've always thought that the aggregate was your enemy there. So what you're finding out is after you've done your particular show in those particular venues, in your particular voice, what's the 6-letter word that they say father and Falcon. And you might be able to get some sort of guess as to what in your show is prompting those, and where someone else in a different show might not get that. But that's one of those things that probably the first few times you did it, it was much harder. Well, I guess that's true for everything, right? Much harder than when it went on later. I mean, you probably know a lot. Once you know Father and Falcon, you know an awful lot of stuff. And you give the audience, do you give them just the words to fill in, or do you also give them clues that they can use? Like what clues they...
Before I write a word in, I turn around and I clue it to them with a clue from the time. That would be in the time style to see if they can figure it out first. So, if I'll say, okay, this is 4 letters, and there's going to be a question mark after it, so there's going to be some wordplay involved. The clue would be picked locks, L-O-C-K-S, picked locks. And any thoughts on what that might be?
4 letters, picked locks. We are out of the crossword game.
Picked locks.
Picked locks.
Open.
Picked locks.
Sprung. That's too many letters.
That's too many.
And remember, there's a question mark after it, so
it's a pun.
So it's a pun.
Picked locks. We are the worst in the world at this.
How many letters?
4.
4 letters.
Ready, Rich?
4.
Wigs.
What?
Wigs.
Wigs.
Wigs?
Oh, that is. I will accept that as an answer. That is very good.
Oh,
man!
But there's another.
Well, wait. Tell us why you're accepting. Tell us why you're accepting.
Another usage of the word "picked," which I think you're on the right track with. Hair.
Afro.
Afro, yeah, afro.
Picked locks.
I really like that. Wigs is great.
Oh.
Afro.
Picked locks.
Locks.
I prefer wigs.
To afro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer wigs too.
I would accept that too.
Nicely done. You're not very proud of this, right? This is
day to day. This is mundane to Ready Rich.
Are you good at this, Ready Rich?
Apparently so. What do you mean? You need to ask after what you just did? What else does he need to prove to you?
I told you, this is the opposite of probably the greatest insult I have ever gotten. You'll love this, David. After a Penn and Teller show, a woman came to me and said, I saw you play bass and I saw you play drums. Are you a musician? It's great. It's like, and fuck you too.
And that's what you said.
No, I said I enjoy playing.
Oh,
what do you say to that? What do you say to that?
Say, yeah, wigs, bitch, wigs.
Wigs. So yes, you are good at this. Do you do crossword puzzles? Are you going to come over and join us?
He's coming over.
He's coming. He's going to come over and sit down.
Here's the problem. I'm not recording this track.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
So, and I don't have a mic set up over here,
I
so I
see.
kind of can't.
Use my microphone. I'm dead
Use
weight.
his mic. Go over there. Go over
Yeah.
his mic.
I think I just knocked his shot out. Hang on a sec.
Okay. He's gonna enter this.
He's going to come and stand in for Piff, the magic dragon who doesn't know anything about crossword.
Now, you know, Reddy Rich, our engineer here, is on the spectrum. Do you find that, is there any correlation to that being helpful for puzzles?
Oh, I don't know. I have many friends that I think are on the spectrum and are some of the world's best puzzle solvers and puzzle makers, but I don't know the.
You don't know
direct
the correlation there.
Yeah.
So, how many of these deception shows have you got already shot?
We shot all 13. We're just editing the last one right now.
Oh, good. And you don't know when you'll be picked up. They have to put it on the air first.
Yeah, we got to see how the numbers come in, but we're getting together a pitch for season 2, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to do that.
And ABC has liked what they've seen so far?
Yeah, I think so. We have this great Sunday night airtime, and we have American Idol, the reboot of that, the premiere of American Idol is our lead-in. So the network believes in it, and it's fun, and we believe in it. So
Yeah,
we just hope people watch it.
American Idol was really funny because American Idol was canceled for having really bad ratings. Then they realized that the bad ratings they had are better than any ratings they've gotten since. So they went back and brought American Idol back.
Because it got such great ratings.
Well, you know, you have to remember that the top-rated television show, whatever it was, American Idol, at its absolute peak, was not the same ratings as the worst episode of the Beverly Hillbillies in the 60s. You know, the market is so fragmented that the numbers don't mean anything anymore. What were you going to say, Ready Rich?
I don't know. What was the question?
The question was, are you really good at crossword puzzles? Do you do them a lot?
I don't like crossword puzzles, so I didn't do those a lot, but I subscribed to Games Magazine when I was a kid, and I did everything else that was in them.
Oh, you did? But you didn't like why did you like the crossword
I
puzzles?
don't know.
Yeah. But you did everything else in Games Magazine. Well, we've written for Games Magazine. We've done a Penn and Teller, have written, because I have the puzzle that I created that has not caught on the way I'd hoped, but was a thing that we used to play with, was called The Secret Yet. And The Secret Yet was because a friend of ours, who was the original member of the Asparagus Valley Cultural Society, his father was a minister. And when you're a minister in Pennsylvania, during coffee hour after the sermon, you socialize with all the congregants, and they would sometimes tell him jokes. And a gentleman came up to my friend Weir's father and said to him, "I have a joke for you, Pastor. Where he makes his liquor is a secret yet." And laughed and walked away. And Weir's father went home to him and said, "A guy told me a joke that I just didn't get." He said, "Where he makes his liquor is a secret yet." And Weir went, I don't get it either. Then went up to his room and came down an hour later and said, still, where he makes his liquor is a secret still. And what the guy had done was he had heard the joke, knew that people laughed at it, misremembered it, and then told it without getting it. So we started creating jokes that would change one word to destroy the joke. So one of the ones that I was challenged with was the sign said, "Be careful, the camel spits," and I was.
Be careful. One more time.
The sign said, "Be careful, the camel spits," and I was.
Wow.
And to make it easier, we would put something in italics that you had to change. I'll give you the italics version. The sign said, italics, "Be careful," end of italics, "the camel spits," and I was. The sign said, "Beware the camel spits," and I was. To change "be careful" to "beware." And we would do a whole series of these. The one that Teller made me laugh with the most was "knock, knock, who's there, Sam and Janet who, Sam and Janet Greenspan. And, of course, you changed Greenspan to evening, and you had Sam and Janet evening. But with Greenspan, it was not a joke. And then we used to put these in our program. And one of them was Sam and Janet Greenspan. One of them was Beware the Campbell Spits, and I was. And one of them was, how do you get to Carnegie Hall?
Right.
And the answer, all in italics, was we were playing in Minnesota, the complete directions to get to Carnegie Hall from the theater that ran 2 pages. And, of course, you replace that with the word practice.
Right.
So the secret yets we put in Games Magazine, and people sent them in, and they instantly got too hard for me to even consider handling. But I love them. I love the secret yets. We had, my father works in a fireproofing plant. How does he do? As well as he can. Instead of as best as he can. So it was a very similar thing to running puns like that. But you probably saw that in Games Magazine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Logic puzzles. Do you do those, David?
They're not my favorite, but sometimes you come across them. Do you do escape rooms?
I do escape rooms.
You often open up a box and then they throw a logic puzzle at you and you have to do it. But I don't seek them out.
Hey, next time I come to New York, me and you should do an escape room, David.
I love doing them. I've done.
Oh,
he's in L.A. He's in L.A.
What? You're in L.A.? I thought you were in New York.
His show's in New York. He's in L.A.
I'm not going to L.A. No, I am. I am in the beginning of June with the Magic Castle for a few days. Piff
great.
And David.
We'll do an escape room here.
Let me tell you.
There's probably 200 of them in Los
You
Angeles.
better get ready to carry some dead weight.
My wife loves escape rooms. Right now, my wife is down in Florida doing Dave Barry's scavenger hunt. She flies out. She flew to Florida for 18 hours just to do a scavenger hunt. She loves scavenger hunts. She loves those competitions. She loves escape rooms. I do escape rooms occasionally with my family. I could not be more dead weight. I'm absolutely useless.
You're no help whatsoever.
No help at all. I mean, none. None. None.
You don't even hold belongings for people?
I try. I mean, that's the thing. I'm not just standing there doing nothing. I just try really, really hard, and it's just pathetic. You put me there.
Just open the drawers and find things.
Yeah, and they'll say these codes mean this on the wall, but I love the fact that there's a couple of escape rooms in Vegas that are real mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
And what I love about them is the folk art funkiness of them. I believe that separate from the puzzles, there's a sculptural and performance art beauty. Like there's one that's run here in town that I love to go to, and because of the funk, because the woman's there at the counter. It's a mom and pop shop. I believe it actually is a mom and pop that run it. It's a fairly young couple that have a young child, and they own everything. They build everything themselves. And the woman says to you, okay, that'll be 5 of you. I'll take your credit card. And she takes the credit card and she signs the credit card and runs it through and then says, go to room 3 for the alien adventure. And then you kind of see her as she runs over and puts the alien head on and then goes in, and you open the room and she's right there going, I'm from another planet, and now you have to. There's nothing I love more than that. Then the puzzles start, and it sucks. Now you do escape rooms too?
We do escape rooms, yeah.
Who's we?
Me, Jade, who every single week will say, I'm not coming this week.
Okay.
And then we'll all put money on the fact that she's going to be there without fail.
Uh-huh.
And about 3 minutes before we leave, she goes, all right, fine, I'll come. But I don't even know why we do them. I hate them. And then she's the first one in the room solving all the puzzles. Every single week without fail. Me, Jade, Francis, and our tour manager, whoever that happens to be.
And you do them in every city?
Every city, yeah. We've got nothing else to do on the road. And they range from, like you say, either some like horrific cubicle in some shopping mall somewhere or some like mom and pop store where they've handcrafted everything and they're super into it.
The handcrafted stuff.
Nothing better than when people are super into it.
Oh, super into it and handcrafted. And I also love the humiliation of calling for the clues.
Oh, it's the best.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. And I love because when they start to realize, you know, you got to know the room you're in, you got to know your audience. You got to know your audience. And these guys are like that too. So I call up and they'll go, oh, Mr. McEvers in his desk may have had an atlas. And I go, what? And they go, Uruguay. Uruguay. Just put in Uruguay and it'll be fine. But it takes them one thing to go, oh, I'm talking to an idiot.
Oh, I'm talking to someone who does not give a shit.
I also love, a photo essay on the little Post-it notes that are stuck in the room that say, this is just a wall outlet.
Yeah,
don't take it apart.
The red tape.
Yeah.
You don't rip that apart. Because my son, who does the escape rooms with us, his idea, brilliantly, is tear everything apart.
Yeah, it's punch a hole through the door. I'll show you how quick I can get out.
When computer games were first hitting, the kind of like text computer games that were hitting in the late 80s, early 90s, a friend of mine, she said the most brilliant thing ever. She said she was playing one of these games, these long games you play with text and role playing and all this stuff, and it said, you need to prove you're intelligent now. And she said she turned off the computer, never played the game again. Considers herself to have won. She thought that was what you did to win the game. So do you do escape rooms, David?
Oh, all the time. I go with a professional group almost.
Oh.
These are full-time puzzlers, and we're like a SEAL Team 6, and we go in and we dismantle a room and get out.
So how many records do you have?
I think we hold a couple. Yeah, we have a record in the theater room, and we did that one in about 22 minutes, I think. And
Did you do the fancy Magic Castle one that they did that my wife went?
I missed it. They did it in the classroom, I think. It was very popular.
Yeah. And Neil Patrick Harris loves those scavenger things. I'm just, if I go, you'd think, well, you'd bring Penn along because, you know, he'll at least be fun. He'll be funny. And no, I'm not even that. I'm just a useless blob in the corner kind of going, oh, I understand what you did.
3 clues. You're like 9 clues behind.
Yeah, but I find.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, the stuff written on the ceiling in stars was a constellation.
Oh, wait, we paid an entry fee and they put us in the room. Wait a minute.
Are you good at that?
I'm doing.
Terrible.
You're doing one?
Yeah, I'm doing a puzzle hunt at the Magic Castle next month, and it's kind of like an escape room, but it's you divide people into teams of 6, and there are tables that people are sitting at, and you give them an envelope, and there are 10 puzzles inside, and they all link together for the meta puzzle at the end. But those puzzle hunts can be fun when you have to get up and find things around the room that are hidden, and it's kind of like a portable escape room almost.
I see. And but puzzle rooms, escape rooms just started, right? I mean, that's just past 10 years?
No, not even that.
Probably less than that.
Yeah.
They started in I think in Russia and Hungary, Eastern Europe, really.
Well, no, that was a gulag.
Well, no, that's not
That wasn't a puzzle room. That was people trying to escape from horrible regimes where they were killing people.
But they rebranded it. They needed some new branding for that, so they called it a puzzle room.
Horrible.
But they did. It started over there, really?
Yeah. I think they've been going about 5 years or so in the U.S.
Yeah, and they're everywhere now. Everywhere. And
the MIT Mystery Hunt. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
that's been going about 35 years, and that's always over Martin Luther King weekend. It is teams of 30 people to 200 people in an MIT conference room. They bring sleeping bags.
Of course it would be on Martin Luther King Day, because he had that Birmingham jail escape. That was his escape room, wasn't it? Notes from the escape room that Martin Luther King, no, nothing.
You're right on this one. Off you go.
Well, you do know that Martin Luther King was in the Birmingham jail and wrote letters from there. That never mind. So you were at MIT.
But that's the.
What were you saying about knowing your audience?
Of puzzle making. That's the Olympics. That's what defines these puzzles is that there aren't any instructions. So the first puzzle is to figure out what the hell is going on. Once you figure that out, then you have to solve it. And there's hundreds and hundreds of puzzles that come through over this long weekend, and they all link together at the end, and these teams are racing the clock, racing each other.
Yeah, and it's kind of all the same. It's all the same kind of sensibility, the same kind of joy. I think what bothers me about it, and there is something that bothers me about it. What bothers me about it is you're not learning. All you're learning is the culture and the style of the person who makes the puzzles. There's no absolute in it, right? I mean, it's not like if you're running a race, there's the absolute time over this particular distance. But this, it's how well you know the culture of how these clues are done and the kind of person you would be. Now, can you tell, if you look at a New York Times crossword puzzle, can you read a few of the clues and have some sort of sense of the maybe the actual author of them? I mean, can you do that as quickly as I could?
Well, no, there are bylines on the puzzles. So
no. Right, I know that. But if you cover up the byline,
I know what to expect if I see their name.
Right, but also the other way. I mean, you could lay out the new Dylan album, the new lyrics, and I could tell you what lyrics were written by Bob Dylan instantly. But can you, there must be real sense of, I mean, do people know what a David Kwong puzzle would be like?
Not in the clues, because the editor changes the clues.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
The editor changes the clues?
Yeah, because you can submit something.
And do you stand up and scream, "This is an abortion, this is not my work"? I guess.
Yeah, the real work is
you
in
go
the grid.
7 across.
in the twist, in the theme of the puzzle, and the trick of the puzzle. So I think that people, when they see my name, they're expecting that something's going to be backwards or upside down or doing something fishy. But in regards to the Will Short's changing the clues, yeah, you can submit something, and if he wants it to be on a Monday, he'll make the clues easy, and if he wants it to be on a Wednesday, he'll make them harder.
Oh, I see. So he decides which day it's going in based on, so the clues get harder, but not the puzzle itself.
Yeah, Monday through Thursday are themed puzzles, so there is some through line, but then Friday and Saturday are themeless and are just lots of big white space, not as many black squares, and those are harder puzzles. So you would write for either Monday through Thursday or Friday and Saturday. And then Sunday inherently, which is bigger, 21 by 21, you're submitting a larger grid for that one.
And have you done a Sunday? Have you done every day?
You know what? I have a strange record, which is that, yes, I have hit for the cycle, as they call it.
Hit for the cycle.
Hit for the cycle.
Oh, yeah.
And I hit for the cycle in my first 8 printed puzzles.
Wow.
So somebody can break it. Someone can break it.
Yeah.
And I just kind of lucked into it. I wasn't writing for a specific day.
Wow. What day did you repeat on the first 8?
I don't know. Might have been a Sunday. I can look pretty easily.
Wow. I love alien subcultures. I love the subculture of this and the obsession of that and tying it together. And I also love that you did, because the overlap in puzzles and magic is very, very, those Venn diagrams really overlap a lot. Yeah. And yet you're the only one that really made it explicit. You know, I can't think of someone else that made it as explicit as you did, other than Magic Square.
Well, Martin Gardner
But he wasn't a performer.
He wasn't on stage performing. Yeah, exactly.
He wasn't on stage performer. But yeah, Martin Gardner. Well, Martin Gardner, everything goes back to Martin Gardner.
Right.
Everything in
Magic Dragons,
skepticism, everything.
First in Dragon. He's like the Johnny Thompson.
Yeah. Johnny Thompson, Martin Gardner,
Yeah.
Amazing Randy. You got those three, you've got everything.
Yeah.
Dragon costumes, everything. So, congratulations on ABC's Deception.
Thank you. Yeah.
And are you also your co-producer? You're also created by credit, I assume.
No. Created by goes to Chris Fedak. He created Chuck, I think, which is an NBC show, and he's
Chuck.
He really is a master of these action comedies, and he wanted to make this a team show. He grew up on the A-Team, and that's the sensibility of it.
Yeah, well, I'm a regular on Scorpion, so
Yeah.
I know that a reoccurring. I'm not a regular. I'm a reoccurring. There's different names for these things. I don't know what they mean. So, but I believe what they've called me is reoccurring. But I love doing Scorpion, and so this Deception is also funny. It's lighthearted.
Oh yeah. We hope so.
We'll have to do the dismal magician, the bitter, horrible, sad magician that goes and solves crimes against his will.
Yeah. Which I think is just called The Magician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was Bill Bixby's show. Did you go back and watch all of those? Are they any good?
I just saw the first Bill Bixby episode. I didn't go back and watch the whole thing.
Yeah, because I'm old enough. They were on when I was a child, and I remember watching them, but I don't remember one moment of any of them.
Yeah.
But they're probably awful. When you go back to those shows,
I think he's throwing doves at people and running out of the room. I seem to recall that.
good idea.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good
That's
idea.
going in.
That's a good idea, yeah. Put that's Deception Season 2.
Yeah.
Throwing doves at people going out of the room, yeah. And remember that if they want a person to commit murder under his own name, I'm there for you.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
I'm there for you. I'm there for you to be the guy who Penn of Penn and Teller kills someone. Sex play got rough, and then I'm actually guilty and end up in that canon, in that universe. I could just say, well, what shows you doing? Well, I'm reoccurring on Scorpion. I was on Numbers. I'm in Deadpool, and I would be, of course, on Deception, but I'm in prison there. I've been in prison forever on Deception.
You're never getting out of Deception.
Never get forever.
Until they need you.
Yeah.
Because there's some evil magic dragon going around committing a series of murders, and they need...
Only you can help. So we're going to take you out, and you're going to go back to prison, but we'll give you more cigarettes.
For 24 hours.
24, yeah. You'll go out, you'll solve the crime, then go back in. See, I could still be alive in that universe.
You could still be active.
Alive in that universe. Thank you so much, David.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, David. I'll see you in LA when we do our escape room together.
Yeah, you should exchange that. I want to hear the story.
I would love to do that.
I want to hear you come back here, report on how, if you were able to help one bit.
I'm just going to drag him down.
I'll tell you one thing. If I ever do an escape room with you, David, I'll be able to help in one way. I'll pay for it.
Sounds good.
I'll put my credit card in.
You get us into the room, David gets us out.
Yeah, exactly. Deception, ABC, March 11th, and every Sunday thereafter at 10 p.m. A magician solves crimes for the FBI with a fry cook on the side. That was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha-cha-cha.
And to our listening ears,
You become naked.
sang and round us rang the music of the spheres. And was
The record will show that every question asked during this whole David Kwong thing, I did not have one answer to anything, did I? And wigs is a better answer than afro.
Do you want to hear David's favorite clue?
Yes, David's favorite clue. What is it?
Here we go. It's emphatically the key to making Bozo's boss. 9 letters. Once again.
Oh my God.
Emphatically the key to making Bozo's boss.
Emphatically
The key to making Bozo's boss.
How many letters now?
9.
Honk honk exclamation point.
This was a cryptic. This was a New
is a
York Times
cryptic.
cryptic clue. I didn't make this.
No, it's your favorite one though, isn't it? Just say
Oh my
yes.
God, yeah.
What is it?
The answer is S for Z and O, which passes as S for Z and O.
So Forzando is emphatically Forzando, but it parses as, what is it?
S
PF?
for Z and O.
S for Z and O.
So emphatically, which I guess sforzando, which I can't even say, is another word for. And the key to making bozos boss is if you replace the S for Z and O.
Oh, S for Z and O makes it bus. Yeah. A waste of time.
Who
Goodbye.
are these people?
That's diabolical. That's
I
diabolical.
love you all.